Hello and welcome to another episode of Humans in 5.
We've been lucky enough to get a request this week. One of our fans asked us to look into headaches, why they happen, and from an evolutionary perspective, why they seem to have stuck around.
Amongst medical professionals, headaches are categorized in two ways. A primary headache means the headache itself is the main medical issue, and there may be other contributing factors to it, like muscle tension or specific medicines that are adding to the headache. A secondary headache is relating to an existing medical condition. In this case, you might get a headache when you have sinus problems or a neck injury.
There are a few different types of pain that might be getting to your head. One of the most uncomfortable types is a migraine, where you might experience nausea, sensitivity to light, and lightheadedness alongside your head hurting. Tension headaches are also pretty common, resulting from stress and tight muscles.
You might be more likely to feel like your head is in a vice if you've been hitting the booze a bit too hard, if you're dehydrated, if you have poor posture, if you haven't been eating enough, or if you have eyesight issues.
Researching headaches can be a bit tricky because the brain itself has no nerves that give rise to the sensation of pain. Instead, the pain we feel in our noggins originates from the tissues and structures that surround the skull or the brain.
The thin layer of tissue, known as the periosteum, that surrounds bones and muscles that encase the skull, sinuses, eyes, and ears, as well as thin tissues that cover the surface of the brain and the spinal cord, known as meninges, arteries, veins, and nerves can all become inflamed or irritated and cause a headache.
But just why is it that we keep getting headaches as a species? What does having a headache tell us about our health, if it tells us anything at all?
Good question. A team from the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology in Germany looked into the human genetic information and found something surprising about our evolutionary history and migraines. Previous research has shown that people harboring a specific single nucleotide variant upstream of a gene called TRPM8 are much more likely to experience migraines than those who do not.
Now, this particular nucleotide variant is more prevalent among people with European backgrounds, especially Northern Europe. The TRPM8 gene codes for a type of temperature receptor on nerve cells that fires in response to how cold it is. This leads to the sensation of chilliness when moderately activated and pain when highly activated by a low temperature environment.
When the team from Germany looked at the genetic samples coming from living populations, they did indeed find that the TRPM8 gene distribution mirrored latitude. It was higher amongst people from Finland than it was for people from Nigeria.
Using computer models, the team estimated that the variation first appeared when early humans were in Africa, but remained at low levels for thousands of years. Then selection began around 26,000 years ago, incidentally coinciding with the last glacial maximum around 26,500 years ago. By 8,000 to 3,000 years ago, the variation had reached the frequency now seen in European populations.
This study suggests that one type of headache might be tied to our environment, and specifically, our way of picking up on environmental cues. This still doesn't tell us why headaches have stuck around over time in humans, but looking at headache variation is a good place to start.
We hope we're not making your head hurt, and we'll see you next time on Humans in 5.
And don't forget to subscribe!